What's going on TikTok? What's going on TikTok? I am live right now. We're going to have a conversation about Jordan Neely and anti-black racism and the fact that black men in particular are not treated like we're humans. The Jordan Neely case isn't so much about Jordan Neely, but it's about a pattern and practice of this country disregarding the lives, the struggles, the trauma, and the outright humanity of black men. It's a very unique pattern. I want to remind people of Ahmaud Arbery. Ahmaud Arbery, you remember, it's a young man. He was jogging. He was trying to stay in shape. And there were some white supremacists who chased this young man down. And we know what happened to Ahmaud Arbery. We all saw the court case. We all saw the trial. We know what happened there. It was the reaction. You had folks out there saying that Ahmaud Arbery was wearing boots. That wasn't true. You had folks out there saying that Ahmaud Arbery, he was trying to hurt people. That wasn't true. You had people out there saying that Ahmaud Arbery, he's going to break into someone's home. That wasn't true. You had people out there saying that Ahmaud Arbery, he had a bad interaction with a police officer, and suddenly that justifies what civilians do. Tamir Rice, young man, less than 3 seconds, Timothy Loman took to take that young man's life. Elijah McClain. Elijah McClain, he was known to play the violin for sick cats and volunteer to help senior citizens because he found that senior citizens were a lot nicer than the younger people within his own age group. Elijah McClain was demonized by the political right, Blue Lives Matter, and people who support police officers because they could not envision a scenario in which police officers could be cruel towards a black man. And that is despite the fact that given our country, black men, as as men who have built this country, men who this country has relied on religiously to bail them out of every problem, to bail them out of every scenario, we are treated we are treated as if we don't matter. We're given the cold shoulder, we're given the indifference, and we're given the violence. Whenever you want to pin something on somebody, you always find a black man do it. Whenever you want to blame somebody for your own misfortune in life, oh, I lost my job. It's these other folks who don't look like me that caused it. When a white woman doesn't want to be with you and she likes black men instead, because let's be honest, black men are fly. Let's be honest. Let's just keep it up. Oh, these white liberal girls, they just don't want black men. And I want to point something out to you. Uh, Sarah Palin, the one who was John McCain's running mate in college, they say that she liked black men too. Mm. So let me point that out to you now. It's a very interesting thing. A very interesting thing how black men are painted. See, we gotta break this down here because see, it's not just one scenario on a train. It's it's what's been happening that led up to that. That led to the anger that you're seeing on the streets right now. I want to remind you that there's things that happen outside of police, outside of white supremacy, outside of people getting choked out on a subway that kind of points to the indifference of how people look at black men, which is absolute indifference. Prime example. Remember the NFL player Damar Hamlin? You remember how Skip Bayless and so many others in the white media reacted initially? Remember that? Remember how they reacted initially? Initially, initially, they reacted as if DeMar Hamlin should have just kept playing, or the game should just continue. Initially, until people started reacting, until people started having some different reactions to that. See, that's what changed things. That's what caused people to suddenly um, understand the severity of these situation at hand. See, it didn't come down to people's humanity. It was the lack of humanity that was shown to that young man that caused people to just react the way that they did. See, but the one thing that I want you to all to grasp from this, if you grasp nothing else from what I'm saying, is that that young man is gone because of the indifference towards black men, the absolute hatred towards us that people refuse to accept, people refuse to admit to. And so as a result, that sort of treatment continues. Because whenever you bring this up, right, the first thing someone's going to do, well, what about me? Stop. Stop with the what about isms. My God, you have 400 years of what about isms. Shut up. I am so sick of every time when a black person goes through something, the first thing someone does is, well, what about us? Shut the hell up. If I mention hunger in Ethiopia, do you think it's wise or stupid to say, well, I was hungry last week? There's levels to this. The constant deflections, it is gross. The absolute disdain for black men, it is not only rampant, it is ingrained in our culture. Anyone who tells you otherwise is a liar who should not be listened to whatsoever. How in the world can you, as soon as I mention George Floyd, right, it's like, oh, that's a horrible thing. And then I'll say, what about Tyree Nichols? Oh, that's a horrible thing. Hey, horrible things happen. But if you keep saying horrible things are happening, right, at some point, you got to pull your head out of your rear and says, okay, these horrible things appear to have a pattern, right? Right? But white fragility, fragile white people, can't stand it when it's not about them. Excuse me, you are in North America, South America, the African continent, Australia, you're in parts of Asia. You are not indigenous to any of those continents. You cannot whine and complain about how someone talks about their oppression. Shut the hell up. By virtue of you even being here, shut the hell up. And I don't want to hear, but the Native Americans, guess what? I talk to them too, and they don't want you here either. That's why they have reservations. If they had their pick, they take us. In fact, quiet as kept, we are them. Because if you believe that all life originated in Africa, that kind of has to be the case. And you have to be a mutation. That's why people got mad at Neil deGrasse Tyson with what he said recently with DJ Vlad. See, I ain't too big on Vlad TV, but I was big on what they said there. Neil deGrasse Tyson, listen, he was sucking and jiving sometimes, but he came out and said something really, really heavy. That brother said, listen, if you want to keep it a buck, the people who resemble mostly like monkeys have thin lips and big ears. Two things that black people ain't really known for. Barack Obama, he's half white. My ears ain't that big. They kind of sloped in, actually. My lips, my ears, not that big. My lips, big, not thin. not thin. That does not resemble a monkey. Like Neil deGrasse Tyson said, Neil deGrasse Tyson said the people who resemble monkeys most is actually the mother folks. And the white supremacists on Twitter, they lost it. Oh, Neil deGrasse Tyson, he's horrible. He's this and that. He's horrible. He's all this and oh man, he's horrible. He's this, he's that. Oh, oh. Put a cape on yourself and be Superman. Okay? Put a cape on yourself. Put a mask on. All right? Plus Ultra. And be Superman. Because Neil deGrasse Tyson is right. Think about it. If you gave a bunch of apes human-like intelligence, well, they would probably go and conquer the known world. Probably make a system of oppression. Probably wouldn't be physically or even mentally superior. But they try. And the only thing that they would have over us is their ability to work together like any other animal. What is the advantage that ants have over humans? Cooperations. That's it. What is the advantage that bacteria has over humans? Mindless cooperation. That's it. That's it. The more individualistic you are, the more human you are. Understand that. Collective groupthink, that's an animalistic term. That's an animalistic mindset. That's a mindset of survival. It works the best in nature, but individualism works the best with industry and technology, see? So the more you cling to that code of white supremacy, the more you kind of reveal who's actually the missing link. You've been looking for a missing link the whole time. Might I suggest we've already had it? Just saying. Because most of these so-called inventions that you made, that actually came from us. William Dukes says, a great I am made from animals and a man. White man is not God, so who gives a damn? I love you. I love you so much, sis. You be going in. But again, people dehumanize black men because they see that kind of stuff. Shy Gemini, what's going on? Gemini, oh my beautiful sister, what's going on? What's going on? Tevin, what's going on? What's going on? But we are talking about what happened to Jordan Neely and the dehumanization of black men. You know, when I think about people like Elijah McClain, you look at his physical build. How you doing, Shy Gemini? How you doing? How you doing? How you doing? What's going on, Tevin? What's going on, Tevin? Salute, salute, salute. But when I think about people like Elijah McClain, think about his physical build. Think about what he was doing on that night. He was going to a store to buy some stuff from a gas. I think it was a convenience store, and when he thought he had offended someone or bumped into someone, right? He bowed to them. He bowed to them like he was so polite. Think about that. Take a mental snapshot of that kind of person. Why would you demonize that person to protect cops and paramedics when you know they're in the wrong? Knowing those same people would go on to make fun of what they did to Elijah McClain. Took photos. That's why they got fired. Not initially for what they did to him, but because they made fun of it. And I think the police chief of Aurora at the time was Vanessa Wilson. Vanessa Wilson is no longer the Aurora police chief. See, I know that case because I followed the Elijah McClain case thoroughly. Sad, yeah, definitely Gemini. Sad. Willie Duke says, this is what we had to go through. I thought I'm not as human or less than people. Yeah. Elijah McClain, I look at that case and it reminds me a lot of this case because they were both young men who were awkward, both young men who were beloved in their community. Main Libertarian, how you doing? How you doing? How you doing, brother? Long time no see. Long time no see. You know, I remember how he was depicted in the media. Yeah, I found you too, brother. Thank you so much for finding me. Yeah, they got my last account, man. It's all good though. You know, that don't really stop what I'm doing. But I remember that case. And I found out some of the activism that he did. He works with older people, senior citizens, and he volunteers with them because he knows a lot of people don't have people. You know, that was something that Elijah McClain actually said. You know, he said a lot of people don't have people. Like that. That's the most heartfelt thing you can think about somebody else. I'm gonna spend time with you. I'm gonna spend time with you because you have nobody. Not because I have to, not because I'm working up a charge, because I want to. And they took this man off the earth. This man went to an animal shelter and he routinely did this. He would play the violin for sick cats. He would volunteer at the animal shelter, clean up and everything. He wasn't working off a charge. He had no charges. He was clean. And they treated him like he didn't matter, as if his service to his community, the time that he gave up, didn't matter. See, this is why I don't want to hear people bring up, stupid stuff. Well, he has this in his background and that in his background, and you got this in his background. Yeah, listen. Even if someone's perfect, like Elijah McClain, it wouldn't have mattered. What did Tyree Nichols do? Philando Castile. Yeah. What can a person do in your eyes to deserve to not live anymore? Think about the place you got to be to think that, to believe that. If you are a person who loves liberty, who cares about freedom, who cares about justice, who cares about peace, you want people to live so that they can live to their happiest potential. You don't want to see people falter. You don't want to look for reasons to hurt people. You don't want to look for reasons to even justify it because you understand that is toxic to your culture. That is toxic to your country. That's a toxic mindset. You will become Florida. Florida's like that. And we make fun of Florida because of that. We have people out here who won't even travel to Florida. Disney World would make triple the amount of revenue if people didn't hate Florida as much as they did. They'd make triple the revenue. And some of the craziest stuff you could think of happens in Florida. Texas. One of the only reasons why people remain in places like Seattle and Tacoma and freaking Los Angeles and New York, one of the only reasons why is because the red states are so crazy. They don't want to get shot because they get into an argument, or they're delivering the Postmates order, or they're delivering Uber Eats or DoorDash, and they go to the wrong house and they get shot. That's one of the only reasons why people ain't going down there because of the difference in the rules and laws. And do you want to know where all that stems from? The whole idea of, I need to have my guns, which I support gun rights, absolutely. But I got to have all my guns and shoot everybody, have castle laws and everything else. It comes from a fear of black people breaking into your house. Let me point something out to you. It ain't black people breaking into your house. It's probably someone that you know. Most crime that's committed is committed by somebody, usually someone the person either knows or somebody the person either associates with. It's usually not just random. Usually. So believe it or not, that person who's breaking into your car probably isn't black. It's probably your white neighbor. Probably your uncle who you know is on who's on that stuff. On that stuff. Don't act like it's just us. You got uncles too. Okay. You got uncles too. You got aunts too. You got cousins. You got sisters. You got brothers who own that stuff. Who's on 12 steps right now. In fact, 12 steps, they on 48, 72, 108, 128 steps. Okay? Don't you act like it's just us. Stop capping. Okay? You know you got them folks, white folks who you know, some of them are your relatives who will break into your stuff. Yeah. Yeah. So this idea that people are just going to bring up someone's criminal history, even when there isn't one. But let's say that Jordan Neely, let's say that he was Cobra Commander. Let's say that he was Thanos, right? Let's say that he was the Joker, right? Let's say that. Let's say that. You still don't get to take him out. Even Batman, knowing what the Joker would do, still didn't do it. People, it is baffling to me how you can simultaneously justify what happens to someone and yet justify prisons. If you believe that anyone who's done anything wrong should have anything justified happen to them, what's the point in even having prisons? Just get rid of them all, right? The fact that you support prisons lets me know even you think that taking someone's life like that is wrong. Even you know that. Even you know that. What would be the point in having prisons? What would be the point in having jails? If every time you encounter someone who had a record, just take them out. Okay, cool. So what you're saying is when Martha Stewart was locked up, right? Because she was locked up. I hope y'all know that. She was locked up before. I should go down to the prison and I should be able to do whatever I want to do. She had a record. Incarcerated. Do you see how ridiculous that sounds? Say, for example, prime example. You had Ashley Babbitt. So many people are talking about Ashley Babbitt, and yet they're crying to me over and over and over. Oh, look at what happened to Ashley Babbitt. Was Ashley Babbitt doing something that was lawful? Not by your definition, but by what that judge said. Was it lawful? Oh, so you want me to hear what happened here, and you want me to feel sorry for a person, but you don't want people to look at your folks like that. Oh, Carolyn Bryant, yeah, another prime example. Carolyn Bryant. You know, it's very interesting how people will go out of their way to defend the indefensible so long as it happens to a black person. It's very interesting how that always works out that way. And yet, anytime I bring up what black people go through specifically and I ask for specific remedies, right? Everybody wants to be included. This is the problem. A lot of the people who, and it's not everybody. It's not everybody. There's a lot of people I know who are good writers. I know people, like Saint. I love Saint Stereo. Love him. But there are some people out there who are part of the problem, who every time we mention we need an anti-black hate crime bill, we need reparations, we need this and that, but we got to add this group. What about us? What about stop? You are a part of the problem. You helped in what happened to Jordan Neely. You helped. Eric Adams, Alvin Bragg, the state of New York. Yeah, I'm jumping on the liberal city and the blue state. The blue states are the worst states when it comes to black folks. Let's keep it a buck. Los Angeles, New York, I mean Seattle, Tacoma. Have you seen what the NYPD been doing to black folks lately? Have you seen what the LAPD have done to black folks? Have you seen what's happening in Antioch with the Antioch Police Department there in freaking California? Did you see what happened in Pittsburgh in California? Have you seen what the Chicago PD have been doing to black folks there? Philly PD, Philadelphia. Do I got to continue? Minneapolis. You saw George Floyd. Need I continue? Yeah, the red states are awful. Don't get me wrong. Anti-black racism and white supremacy is a team sport all over the country. Don't get me wrong. Right? Don't get me wrong. But don't act like these blue states are somehow safe for black folks. Stop the cap. Listen. This, please, stop it. Stop the cap. Put the cap down. Okay? No, I see here in Washington State. Okay? I see here in Washington State. And I've seen some of the most racist nonsense in my life. And people here walk around pretending like they not. Oh, would you stop? Well, if you don't like it here, well, if you don't like it here, well, if you don't like what the hell I'm saying, leave the country then. It's called the First Amendment. My people built this country, so goddamn it, you're going to hear what I got to say. Shut the hell up if you don't like it. Deal with it. Put a cape on it. Be super mad. What's going on, main libertarian? Be out, brother. Be safe. Leave the country. Leave the country? I built the country. My folks built the country. Wait a minute. My family tree's buried here. For generations. Why would I leave? Like, do you understand? Listen. Oh, no. Sweet and sassy. Don't worry. I totally get it. I get it. I totally got what you said. I got what you said. But I was just kind of playing off it. You feel me? No. Okay, so you're going to answer me if you built the country. I'm actually trying to learn. I built the country. Yeah. Yeah, we built it. We built it from the very, very beginning. The Revolutionary War. The first guy who took a bullet for this country was a black man named Crispus Attucks. First guy ever. Not only that, in the Revolutionary War, there were these people called the Moors. Yeah. They actually helped you fight. And you would have lost without them. The original 13 colonies was Moorish territory that was just divvied up. In fact, I can even call out some of the Moors by name. Yeah. See, the military muster rolls, those were like the the old school army's equivalent of roll call for the military. People who were going to fight against the British, the Redcoats, basically. And if you read some of the names, Joseph Ben Haley, when you look into the background of Joseph Ben Haley is actually Joseph Ben Salam. He's a Muslim. There are a lot of black Muslims who were in this country for centuries. In fact, more than a century before, at least more than a century before any white person ever stepped foot in this country. In fact, that's in history books, and it's in the Smithsonian Museum right now, as we speak. Ballard, okay, so I'm asking if you want zero help from allies from white people. No, you can help, but don't hinder. Help, don't hinder. That's something that I tell everybody that I know. People who know me know I use that statement a lot. Help, don't hinder. Helping is stomping for Jordan Neely. Going to Joe Biden and says, hey, give these people reparations, right? Give these people an anti-black hate crime bill. Give these people some resources that is specific to them. And they ain't got to share with nobody else. Everybody else gets paid when bad things happen to other communities. People gets dollars. People get dollars. People get cash. They get goodies. They get programs. They get land, allotments, tax write-offs, all kinds of special, lovely things that we want to have too, just for us. Because I want you to understand the reason why this could happen to a black man like this. One, he has a lack of resources. He has a mental health disability that in which he cannot take care of himself. However, with the right amount of money, a trustee could have been assigned to him, a black person that could have actually taken care of him. But that's impossible without reparations. With reparations, black men like him are not on the streets. We can build our own infrastructure, our own resources. We had Black Wall Street. We had Rosewood in freaking Florida. We had Bruce's Beach. We had so many money-making ventures across the country. And even the white supremacists will admit those were torn down by white supremacists. So we pulled ourselves up by the bootstraps. Look at the Mallorys, right? In Colorado. They have I think over 600-acre ranch. And the local police there and the citizens are messing with them. Committing acts of racial terror against those people. So the Mallorys, who are combat veterans, by the way, military veterans, by the way, pulled themselves up by the bootstraps. And what happens every time in this white supremacist country? I really hope no white person in Washington State thinks that there's so many white people here because you worked hard. Get that nonsense out of your head. The only reason why there's so many white people here is because at one point in places like Washington State and in Oregon in particular, black people were banned. See, there wasn't this huge international this huge national railroad system, this huge interstate highway system. You couldn't just travel like that. You had to pick a trail and stick to it. Okay? So when you cut off certain paths, you cut off everybody. That's the only reason why there's so many white people here. Because whenever we were allowed to go freely, our populations grew. But what keeps us in a certain position is the system of white supremacy that is headed by a white supremacist government. Let me explain something to you. You ain't got to be white to push white supremacy. You just got to be willing. Look at what's happening in India. Look at what's happening in Mexico. Look at what's happening in some of the countries, whereas you have this colorism that exists, right? And this colorism, it is based off of white supremacy. They won't tell you that. They won't tell you when you go over to places like Brazil and Japan, the reason why they make their skin so light. Colonization, it doesn't have to happen with a physical invasion. You get that, right? I'm going to say that for you again, because some people don't seem to get that. Colonization, mental colonization, that can happen without a physical invasion. But if there was an actual military action like what happened with Japan and China and everywhere else, it can definitely be instilled and it will hold for generations. Take a look around. Take an honest step back and think to yourself, how has this been constructed for whiteness? And what you'll find is that most things are. What you'll find, I'm going to say it again, is that most things are. But you can't tell a white person that, because the second you say that, they take it as a personal attack, which is absurd. If I were to go over to China and I say, hey man, this everything seems to be in Chinese, or Mandarin or whatever language they have over there, I don't want to disrespect them or anything. And then someone says, well, it's not all. It's not all. You understand what I mean, though. We're not saying that literally every outcome in this country is going to be favorable to a white person, but it's more favorable to be a white person. And if you're saying not, you're full of it. It is quite baffling how you can have a brother like Jordan Neely be choked out. And yet people are saying, well, he was arrested for this, he was arrested for that, arrested for this. There are people who are incarcerated who you can't justify that on. Be a correctional officer and do that to somebody and see what happens. You can't do that to a convicted person behind bars. If they're acting out like that, they'd give them medication, they restrain them, they wouldn't choke them like that. That's not authorized for a corrections officer to use. Why in the world do you think you can use that on a subway? You have multiple grown men right there. You got to choke them? I thought that you said that you were scared of them. Wouldn't the smartest thing to do would be to restrain to basically restrain his to restrain his arms and legs? If you're saying that you're afraid of him, why would you put your arm near someone's mouth? Because you kind of have to do that to get a chokehold under, right? I'm just thinking, I'm trying to use logic, right? Because I am a martial artist. That was called a rear naked choke that he applied. He put the hooks in with his feet and legs. Very common. Something that you are taught in unarmed combatives in the military. It's not a complicated thing. It is not so much an airway choke, it's a blood choke. Two different things. Airway choke cuts off the breathing. A blood choke cuts off blood circulation. That's why it's so deadly. See, it was another way of doing what Derek Chauvin did with a chokehold. If you kind of get it. It's the pressure, it's the blood circulation being cut off there. You get it? So you talk to any martial arts, they'll tell you airway choke, blood choke, two different things. So what the rear naked choke is a blood choke. So it's not just the airways that's being cut off, it's blood circulation to the brain. And if you apply enough pressure, the force and trauma from this, that can get you too. I'm thinking it's a combination of all three, from what I saw. If you're saying he's so dangerous, why would you put your arm near someone where they can bite you? That's the first thing that I would think about. So why not restrain his arms and legs? You had multiple men there. If he was so dangerous. Everybody involved in there, the people who filmed, the people who watched, people who sat around and did nothing, all should be charged with murder. Especially Daniel Penny, the white supremacists who did it. See, that's how I know there's a bunch of non-FBA people who were on that train. People like me, nah. There's too many videos of me doing stuff that just, nah. Everybody on that train should be charged with murder. Everyone, even the train conductor, if there was one on that train. Everybody. Bystanders, I don't care who. Everybody. A message needs to be sent. If Alvin Bragg ever cared about black people like he claims that he does, Alvin Bragg needs to send a message. Send a message. But he won't, probably. Because he's Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg ain't interested in black folks. And if he is, Alvin Bragg, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. I welcome you to prove me wrong. Show me you care even a little bit about black people by pressing charges on Daniel Penny, the NYPD officers who didn't investigate him, every person who watched, everybody, especially people who helped him. Lock them all up. Convict every last one of them. Don't botch the cases. Convict every last one of them. No plea deals. No plea deals. No plea deals. No. They need life in prison. You want our votes. You want our vote of confidence, Alvin Bragg. You know, honestly, I tried my best to stay out of politics. I really did, especially with my newborn son here. I tried my best because I understand everything that I do is politics. But in terms of politics, I mean like the whole red and blue thing, the whole vote and don't vote thing. I tried to avoid all that stuff, but I'm seeing now where these people who claim to represent us, these people with dark skin but no care, darkened skin only, blackened skin only, them types. See, I'm seeing now whereas a lot of my fellow FBAs were absolutely right. I made a mistake by taking my foot off the gas when it comes to these folks. See, them folks have to go. If you're going to act like a white supremacist, then be voted out like a white supremacist. Okay? The one thing that insults me more than a white politician who's racist is a black one pretending to actually love me. Because at least the racist politician is not trying to insult my intelligence. Okay? Not all skin folks can't brag. I gotta say, brother. Listen, you have been allowing these race soldiers to abuse people. You've been allowing these race soldiers to go into people's homes. And Eric Adams is encouraging the whole stop and frisk thing. You are letting robot police dogs out in the streets, knowing what that's going to do to black folks. Brother, look, I am so sick of black folks having to plead for our humanity, and then when our humanity is denied, pleading for justice. It's like a hamster wheel that never stops. Once again, this is why we need reparations, to have our own police force, our own communities, and to those who decide to live outside of it, our own federalized police force to go in and investigate cases of anti-black racism. All right? We've dealt with the CIA, FBI, Department of Homeland Security. We have dealt with the worst of the worst this white supremacist government has mobilized against us. What we need is our own branch that can't be touched by you. The same way the Federal Reserve is like a shadow government. We need something just like that. Just like that. With an endless budget. You know, just bless us endlessly with a budget of our own law enforcement that can go into any state, any territory, and arrest anti-black racists. I would like a whole bounty hunting type of system, personally. We need our own FBI, our own CIA that's separate from you. It's funded by you, but unaccountable to you, like the Native American police forces. They're funded by us, by us, the taxpayer, but they don't answer to us. See, that's what I want. See, if we had our own freedmen Bureau police force, our own Freedmen Bureau National Police Force that would go into New York right now and arrest that anti-black racist and do a full inquiry. Basically tell the New York governor, attorney general, and inspector general that you either press charges or investigate, or we're going to arrest you. See, I want them to have that kind of power. That might be unrealistic. We might gotta maybe start smaller, but we need something, because what's going on right now, that ain't working. We need reparations. We need our own freedmen's security force, our own police force that will protect black people. Period. We need our own resources that we ain't got to share with others. Protections such as, let's say that a black person wants to actually start a school. Give them the funding. Paid for. Just start it. Give us money to start our own hospitals. Since a black mother can't trust to come out of hospital alive, give us the money to build our own hospitals. Everybody's got to be welcome. Of course, federal law. Granted. Sure. But it specializes in black people. We need transportation. We need stuff, but we need the money to do it. We need reparations. And I mean substantial cash payments, not something that has strings attached to it. Hand us the checks and we'll handle the rest. Give us the checks, we'll handle the rest. We should have our own transportation so that if another Jordan Neely pops up, we ain't got to worry. He's on our own freaking subways. And first of all, he wouldn't even be homeless. We need resources to avoid these situations. And we also need an anti-black hate crime bill so that when people commit these heinous acts, they could be punished and face justice. Justice for Jordan Neely. That's going to be it for me, guys. Horns up, peace out. Good night and good luck. I want to give out the APB on the person who unalived our brother. Because the person who did that, that person needs to be brought to justice. The person who did that needs to be brought to justice. Let's get into it. So the person who did it, his name is Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old Marine Corps veteran. He was seen choking Jordan Neely, who was a poor homeless man with disabilities. He had autism. Penny is the man who choked Neely on the F train, a former senior law enforcement official confirmed. The surfing enthusiast and ex-Marine squad leader was first identified on Twitter as Neely's assailant. On Twitter, see, the foundational Black American movement, we are so strong, we are so thorough, we are so codified to the point where it was Tariq Nasheed, Trill, Texas FBA, Forever, the Black Authority. It was guys like that who were, film the police. Professor Black Truth. I gotta send him out some love, man. Robert F. Williams is one of my favorite Black revolutionaries of all time. He defended Medgar Evers, and his home in North Carolina against allegedly over 100 Klansmen. That's the story, and that's the legend. I can only hope to be this amazing. Robert F. Williams is my favorite black revolutionary. Let me make sure. Why am I not following Great Black Shark? But basically, it was the foundational Black American movement on Twitter, man. We stumped hard. We went in on this issue, and it was. I want to give a shout out to, again, if you're not following Tariq Nasheed, give him a follow, man. Again, everybody has disagreements and things that they don't see eye to eye on. But the thing is, this guy was stumping.
this guy was doing it. Period. If you don't like what this guy is doing for the black community, again, disagreeing with somebody because of 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 a a certain view, right? That's one thing. But this brother is stomping hard for us. JB says all those people around and didn't stop it. They watched this man. Yeah, yeah. And many of those people, I'm wondering, are they, black Americans, or do they have a lineage that's linked to this country? Because many people who don't, they are brought here and they are taught anti-black hatred. When you go down to the immigration office, you see that often, man. But this story, it has really struck a nerve with people, and it struck a nerve with me too. Because at first, I thought it was going to be another case of a black man being unalive and people not caring. And I'm so happy to see. I mean, I'm so sad this happened to this young brother, but I'm happy to see that we are fighting. That's what we should focus on here. We are fighting. We are holding people accountable, and that's how it has to be. We have to, like Tariq Nasheed says, we have to produce justice ourselves. We can't wait no more. We can't wait no more. The former Marine who is seen choking a homeless Michael Jackson impersonator, whose name is Jordan Neely, in a subway, shocked New York City and the nation this week, is Daniel Penny, a 24-year-old surfing enthusiast from West Islip, Long Island. Insider has confirmed. Penny can be seen on video with his arm around the neck, around the head and neck of Jordan Neely, who have been reportedly behaving erratically on the F train on Monday around 2:15 p.m. Let's stop there. Jordan Neely, he was homeless. And he didn't have any food. He was complaining about being homeless and hungry and thirsty. When you are in that condition, you are going to act erratically. You are going to, again, that is the dehumanization of black men. I want you guys to really, really get this through. Everybody who's watching this and anybody who's going to ever watch this, black men are human. This is not so much. Again, Jordan Neely was homeless. He was hungry. He was in dire financial straits. But the fact that he was a black man, that is what allowed people to sit around and watch. That is what allowed people to just watch this man as his life was snuffed out of him. That is what allowed it. The constant dehumanization of black men, from Kyrie Irving to even Kanye. The way people talk about Kanye. Kanye has problems. It's perfectly reasonable for a man with problems to act like you have problems when you have problems. When you make musical albums and you put on the front cover of the freaking album, I hate being bipolar. It's awesome. That's the man's telling you he has issues, right? But many entertainers have issues, and you accept them, like Ozzy Osbourne or Keith Richards, Bruce Willis, Charlie Sheen, who have said some of those horrific things, and some of it has been directed towards the Jewish community. Lest we forget someone saying that I hope you get assaulted by a pack of N-words. You remember that words? Yeah, I do. Certain Hollywood star said that. Go look it up. See if I'm lying. But the dehumanization of Jordan Neely, it wasn't because he was homeless. Many people are homeless, especially in New York. That wasn't the reason why he was dehumanized. He was dehumanized because he's black. Let's normalize not gaslighting and telling lies when it comes to anti-black racism. Vlon says probably not. JB says I can't go around and be a vigilante like that without facing some sort of prosecution. JB, it's getting to the point where we either do it or we're all victims. Cab says Mel Gibson or Hulk Hogan. I believe it's Mel Gibson. But again, Jordan, I want to get into the story because, again, there's something else you guys have to see. Great Black Shark. I want to give a shout out to this brother. Great Black Shark is one of the greatest assets to the black community. I love this brother. I love Great Black Shark because he's a great researcher and he puts things out there that we in the black community we have to see. He puts important information out there. Did you know that that Daniel Penny, the person who choked out Daniel James Penny, the person who choked out Jordan Neely, he is the son of a retired NYPD colonel named Daniel Penny Sr.? There we go. Colonel, Chief Inspector at the New York State Police, retired. New York State Police. New York State Police. Great Black Shark, amazing individual, found this. New York State Police, Internal Affairs, Superintendent Joshua D'Amico, Colonel Daniel Penny, and Lieutenant Colonel Gary Croft, recognized members of the Internal Affairs Bureau who have achieved 30 years of service with the state police. Internal Affairs Bureau. So this is why police could get away with not investigating this and just letting Daniel Penny walk free and not worry about any backlash, because guess who's affiliated with Internal Affairs? Daniel Penny's daddy. Oh, so all the big wigs who could actually, and I want you to notice how remarkably white and male this picture is. Notice how remarkably white and male this picture is. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how remarkably pale this thing is. Amazing. Amazing. Incredible. So all these white men here were the reason why Daniel Penny wasn't prosecuted. Oh, I get it now. I see how this works now. So basically, you unalive a black man, and if your daddy is on the Internal Affairs Bureau with the New York State Police, then you can just ignore it. You can just walk away. This is from 2016. This is from years ago. 7 years ago. Vaughn says he held that man for way too long. Absolutely. Daniel Watson, go be a white supremacist somewhere else, please. Thank you. I don't have time for the peanut gallery. All right. But bottom line is, Colonel Daniel Penny. This is why we can't get any justice with it when it comes to this case. I get it now. I get it now. Oh. It makes sense now. I'm fully understanding it now. So I can bring on some guests to talk about this, but really, I just want to get into this. I really want to. I want to discuss this in detail. I want to get deeper into the story. So this is interesting. Great Black Shark also points out the white supremacists celebrating what happened to Jordan Neely by this as of yet unidentified coward. And thanks to Great Black Shark, you identified him. Shout out to Great Black Shark. Great Black Shark is amazing. They keep saying that Jordan Neely had priors. If Jordan Neely had mental health issues, what's your point? See, the amazing part about the dominant white society is that whenever something happens to someone, they think that you can go back in time and justify it. Well, this person had a crime that they committed, or this person was accused of something, or this person was arrested. Again, arrested for something doesn't mean convicted. And even in that case, what you're saying is that if someone is incarcerated, because again, I'm a former correctional officer, so who now hates all law enforcement, because based on what I saw in law enforcement and based on something that happened to me as a kid, I know that all cops are trash. But that's neither here or there. The idea is basically what you're saying is that if I, as a correctional officer, have a woman who's incarcerated as an inmate, I could do whatever I wanted to do to her because she has priors. That's what you're saying. And that's absurd. That's what you're saying. And that is absurd. That is a ridiculous suggestion, and everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. Everyone knows it. But see, when it comes to systematic white supremacy, that sort of terrible logic, whereas I can go back in time and justify what happens to someone, that is That is the hallmark of systematic white supremacy. JB says no excuse regardless. American corruption has definitely crossed the line. Absolutely, people will not let this go. Just like with the whole Ahmaud Arbery thing, right? You remember Ahmaud Arbery? People like Tim Pool and other white supremacists, they would say things like, "Well, he was wearing boots," which is not true. He was breaking into homes. That was not true. He has priors. Okay. And even with that said, that doesn't excuse the racism that was displayed by the McMichaels. Look at Trayvon Martin. Now we know George Zimmerman is an absolute racist, and we knew that even then. But because he targeted a black male, it was okay. See, that is the constant dehumanization that black men have to go through. And I don't just blame the Republicans. I don't just blame the political right. I don't just blame the far right. I don't just blame Donald Trump. I don't just blame the Supreme Court. I don't just blame Congress or the Senate. I also blame the left and even liberals. I understand the left and liberals are two different parties. I get that, but you're all to blame because you don't put the pedal to the metal when it comes to these issues. You wait until something happens and then you say something, right? Which is, again, you are playing, on the side as basically controlled opposition, right? Or I should say the Republicans are controlled opposition. But then you are the fake allies who pretend to pretend to fix issues. All the while you don't fix issues in order to keep people coming along. Because again, you don't sell cures, you sell cough medicine. You don't sell cures, you sell cough medicine, Democrats. JB says you are absolutely right. Racism has always been covered up. I agree with you, absolutely. But again, this falls on Republicans, but it also falls on Democrats. Unrequested edits, should they all be charged like Ahmaud Arbery? Absolutely. Not only the person whose name is Daniel Penny, but everyone who sat around and watched all these people. Daniel Penny, this guy here, looking down on him with the black with the black backpack here with the black shoes on here. This guy to the right here with the khaki pants and the khaki shoes and the black jacket and the hat on. This guy back here in the back. This guy looks like he's a non-FBA guy with the purple hoodie on here with the khaki pants, and the guy right here that's a little bit behind the guy with the khaki pants here. I want them all charged. I want them all charged with murder. All of them. All of them. Every last one of them. Daniel Penny. All of them. All of them. They should all be charged with murder. All of them. See, this comes down to, again, people want to point out the fact that Jordan Neely was homeless. Yes, he was homeless. I understand that, but he was also black. Many white people are homeless. They don't get treated like this. Many white people are homeless. They don't get choked out in public. People tend to intervene. The reason why Jordan Neely is no longer with us is because he's black. Him being homeless is another check in the box to how he can be targeted and people don't care. Granted. But Jordan Neely. He was what the Bible would call the least of these. He was what Muhammad would call the person to look out for. He is the kind of person that the Buddha would fight for. He's the kind of person that Malcolm and Martin would have marched for and would have fought for. If you're ever looking for a person to stand up for, if you're ever looking for a person to fight for, if you're ever looking for a person to say, hey, this won't happen. This is not going to happen on our watch. We're going to fight for this person. We're going to show that we are a civilized that we are a civilized country. If there's ever a case, Jordan Neely, he's the case. To the entire 1312 movement, to the entire ACAB movement, to everyone hearing me who's ever followed me, this is the case. We don't let this slide. And I'm going to show you again. I want you to see this. Retired NYPD Colonel Daniel Penny Sr., father of white supremacist cowardly man Daniel James Penny. So this man, Daniel Penny, is the son of a retired NYPD Colonel, Daniel Penny Sr. And guess what? New York State Police Internal Affairs Superintendent Joseph D'Amico, Colonel Daniel Penny, and Lieutenant Colonel Gary Cronf. Internal Affairs. Internal Affairs. I want to leave a little comment here. Likely. So what I said here on the Great Black Shark's post here, I said this is why the cops let him go without fearing repercussions. His daddy is with Internal Affairs and likely still has friends there. Yeah, yeah. All these people here, everybody in this photo here, they are all implicated in what happened to Jordan Neely. They're all implicated. They're all implicated. Cab says that brother holding hands, he could have stopped the white guy from choking him. Yeah, absolutely. 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 I want to read out everybody on this list here. New York State Police Internal Affairs Superintendent Joseph D'Amico, Colonel Daniel Penny, Lieutenant Colonel Gary Cronf, recognized members of the Internal Affairs Bureau who have achieved 30 years of service with the state police from left to right. Lieutenant Colonel Cronf, Colonel Penny, Secretary 1 Mary Fisk, Superintendent D'Amico, Lieutenant Colonel Matthew Reneman, Captain Anthony Miserandino, and Senior Investigator Arthur Govan. Interesting. All these people here are covering up or trying to cover up what happened to Jordan Neely to help out Daniel Penny here. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening here. That's what's happening here. The entire, if you ever said ACAB, if you ever said anything like that, you need to stand on this case. If you've ever said anything like that, you need to stand on this case. If you've ever said ACAB, stand on this case. Because the fact of the matter is, Jordan Neely, he was murdered. I'm not going to sit here and just mince words, man. He was, let's be honest, let's keep it a buck, let's call it what it is. Extraordinary BBW says, I'm a disabled female veteran that's targeted by Harrison County Sheriff's Department for unlawful detention. Yeah. MBI says, believe me, I am, point of abuse. Yeah, make sure you reach out to me, give me a follow. I'll look out for you. But again, the Jordan Neely case right now, things are crazy. They're trying their best to cover up what happened to this brother. They're trying their best to, and we're not gonna let this go down. Henry Goodwood says this behavior is not new. Black person is harassed on a regular basis. I have been harassed twice. Yes, it is a common thing for black men to be harassed, and yet we are always painted as the harassers. Lanny Kirkpatrick says, yes, sir, absolutely. Listen, I want you guys to understand something, right? Jordan Neely, he is not unique. The Jordan Neely case is not unique. It is not unusual. It is not unique. The Jordan Neely case is not unusual. It is not unique. We all need to realize something, right? That when it comes to this particular case, nothing about it is unique. Nothing about it is unique. Everything about it is expected. Everything about it is in line with systemic white supremacy. Everything about it is right in line with systemic white supremacy. Everything about it. Everything about it. is in line with systemic white supremacy. And we have to also not be afraid to call things what they are. We have this thing where we don't want to call things what they are to not offend people. To not offend people. Let's go and read some comments here. Let's get back to the live scene here. Tevin says that mayor ain't worth a darn. Absolutely not. Extraordinary BBW says I was threatened with a gun by my son, and they collaborated. They collaborated with him. Wow. Reach out to me. Reach out to me. Send me a message. Bridget Thompson says, yes, sir. JB says, I can restrain someone without choking them. As an Army vet, I've learned how to do so. This is inexcusable. Absolutely. I am an Army vet, too. I serve in Afghanistan. I'm a combat veteran. I'm ready at 100%. So, Tevin says, it happens more often than people think. Absolutely, it does. User says, what they are in love. You show we have this thing, whereas we don't. Not sure what you're trying to say there, but maybe try to rephrase that. Extraordinary BBW says, we'll do just documenting for safety. Absolutely, thank you. Reach out to me for sure, because after a case like this, we got to protect each other. This comes from The Guardian. New York mayor and police criticized for lack of action over Jordan Neely's unaliving, man. Medical examiner confirmed on Wednesday that 30-year-old black man passed away from compression to the neck. Yes, Daniel Penny. He's the killer. Pressure was mounting on police, prosecutors, and New York Mayor Eric Adams on Thursday as protesters, advocates, and even Congressman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez criticized the lack of action over what happened to Jordan Neely, a 30-year-old black man and Michael Jackson impersonator who was placed in a chokehold by another subway rider. Adams has heightened police presence in subway stations in an attempt to curtail crime while endorsing involuntarily hospitalizing people experiencing homelessness with mental illness and using police to remove people suffering from mental illness from subway stations. But even as Adams touts future investments in mental health care, the city has reduced services for those experiencing such challenges. So again, as a black man, again, they're trying to make this a mental health issue and also a homelessness issue. But the reason why this man, Jordan Neely, was choked out, the reason why Jordan Neely, this man, the reason why he was choked out is because he's a black man. Let's stop capping. Let's stop, giving cover for the white supremacists. Jordan Neely was choked out because he's a black man. Let's stop capping. Let's stop capping. Let's call it what it is, man. Jordan Neely was choked out because he's a black man. That's why. Let's stop capping. Let's call it what it is. Let's call it what it is, man. Jordan Neely, he is no longer with us because he's a black man and because we live in a system of white supremacy. Jordan Neely is no longer with us because our do-nothing president, who pretends to be an ally of black people, Joe Biden, decides to do nothing, decides to not bring an anti-black hate crime bill to protect us from these race soldiers, and also from stray, errant white supremacists who board subways to attack us. The reason why this kind of stuff happens on the regular, the reason why is because black men are not treated as humans. This is why we need reparations. This is why we need an anti-black hate crime bill. This is why we need resources to protect our own, to have an actual law enforcement arm of the Freedmen's Bureau who goes after anti-black racists like Daniel Penny and his father, who's a retired NYPD colonel, Daniel Penny Sr. This is why we need an anti-black hate crime bill to protect us, when things like this happen. This is why we need that. Because without that, we will have errant white supremacists target us in subways, target us in our homes. You have white supremacists shooting people like Raphael. A lot of people have forgotten about Raphael. A lot of people have forgotten about that. A lot of people have forgotten about that white supremacist. A lot of people have forgot about that white supremacist. Bridget Thompson says absolutely 100%. William Turner, if there's a mod in here, get him up out of here. You check no statistics before you try to imply your statements are true. All I do is stats. Wow. Harry Goodwin says the NYPD station located at Union Square was shut down for the arrest a black man delivering a notice. Wow. 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 Listen. White supremacy is coming to a person's live stream and talking about black on black crime when the black person is a victim. That's white supremacy. That's white supremacy. White supremacy is not realizing that in a black space, you shouldn't be doing that. That's white supremacy. White supremacy is looking at the victim of a crime and thinking the victim should have to answer for what happens to them. That is white supremacy. That's white supremacy. That's white supremacy. That's what it is. It's just I'm not gonna ban him. I want TikTok to see this. I want TikTok to see this because again, when they limit and suppress black creators all the time, but then they'll say nothing about white supremacists who show up in our chats. They'll say nothing. They'll say nothing because this goes into what I'm saying. Black men have been dehumanized so much that to the point whereas people don't see us as an actual person. They don't see us as human. That's what I want people to see. I want people to see this. Even as a black man is gone, you're bringing up black on black crime as if a black man can't, even if you had a point and you don't, as if a black man can't be a victim by himself. That's sick. That's sick. I just want you to know that's sick. Because if something happens to you, I'm not going to bring up the trailer parks in West Virginia or the trailer parks in Florida. Or I'm not going to bring up the opioid epidemic that people are going through in the Midwest right now and in places like Michigan and Minnesota with all the white communities. Thanks to the Sackler family and Prescott Pharmaceuticals, Prescott Pharmaceuticals and all the pharmaceutical companies. I'm not going to bring that up whenever you get a white man who's going to go on a mass shooting. See, I'm not going to bring up all the families who were made from incest in West Virginia, right? I'm not going to bring up all the white Catholic priests or the white Boy Scout leaders, who are numerous, by the way. You don't find hardly any black ones. Notice that, right? Notice that, right? Notice that. I mean, in fact, if you want to get into stats, we can get into stats. Because, see, I actually work corrections. So if you want to get into stats, we can really get into stats. I don't think you picked the right person for that. I don't think you picked the right person for that. But once again, black man gets choked out, just like with Eric Garner. Black man gets choked out. Now is your time to bring up black on black crime. And the interesting part about the so-called black on black crime, right? The interesting part about so-called black on black crime is that it's based on nonsense. It's based on lies. There is no such thing as black on black crime. There's crime. Because if you look on white crime, white people hurt more white people than black people, and black people hurt more black people than white people. It's just what it is. It's just what it is. But white people, while also crying about how they're so poor, how they're falling behind in school, how their birth rates are just falling through into a toilet while they're crying about the opioid epidemic. Little Billy can't seem to stop taking the medications over there in the trailer park. You get Jordan Neely, a poor man with mental disabilities, but Timmy is just fine. Timmy just fine. Timmy didn't. I mean, yeah, Timmy lives in a trailer park, but that's the worst Timmy has ever ever faced. But now a black man with a mental disability who's just poor. It's very common in New York to be poor, by the way. By the way. By the way. Is he the only poor person in New York? Hold on. People are talking about him being poor as if he's the only poor person in New York. Homeless statistics in New York. I want you to see this. The so-called liberal cities. The Coalition for the Homeless. The so-called liberal cities that supposedly care about the homeless so much, that supposedly care about black homeless people so much. I want you to read the stats because, again, they're trying to make it about homelessness, but it's not really about homelessness because there's so many homeless people out there. They aren't getting choked out on camera. See, basic facts about homelessness in New York City. In December of 2022, there were about 68,884 homeless people, including 21,805 homeless children, sleeping each night in New York City's main municipal shelter system. A near record 22,720 single adults slept in shelters each night in December of 2022. Now, I want to check something out. They're trying to make this a homelessness issue, saying that, oh, Jordan Neely was homeless and that's why he was targeted. Well, the thing is, if that were true, then why are black people and Hispanic people disproportionately homeless as compared to white people? Approximately 56% of heads of household in shelters are black. 32% are Hispanic, 7% are white, less than 1% are Asian American or Native American, and 4% are of unknown race or ethnicity. So 56% in the shelters are black. This is why we need reparations. This is why we need an anti-black hate crime bill. This is why we need protections for black homeless people specifically. Because we are disproportionately the homeless. This is why we need, once again, number one, reparations. Because if you give every one of those people, every one of those black people, that 56% who are heads of household in shelters, if you give them reparations, you instantly lift them out of that situation. You instantly do it. So again, instead of making it a homelessness issue, make it a black issue. Jordan Neely was not an Asian man. Jordan Neely was not a white man. Jordan Neely was not, from Australia. Jordan Neely is a black man who needed protection. If Jordan Neely cannot be protected, if Jordan Neely cannot get justice, as being the very textbook definition of what Jesus, not myself, not Father ACAB or ACAB Devil or Tariq Nasheed or Foundation of Black Americans or the Black Authority or Great Black Shark or Professor Black Truth or Connie Collins or Ronnie Spots or any other person in the black empowerment space. It doesn't matter what we call it. It's what Jesus called it. The least of these. I wasn't hungry and you didn't feed me. I was without clothes and you brought me no clothes. I was in prison and you did not come to see me. And the disciples, before he said that, the disciples asked, Lord, when did we see you in all of those conditions? When did we see you like this? And Jesus responded with, as you have done it unto the least of these, my brothers and sisters, you have done it unto me. So all these so-called Christians with these little crosses hanging around their necks, where are you, fake Christians? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you for Jordan Neely, a black man? Where are you for Jordan Neely? See, his oppression overlaps with him being homeless. Him being homeless is not the reason why he got choked out and why people right now are upset. Him being black is the reason. Him being black is the reason. That's the reason he doesn't get the protection. He doesn't have the complexion for the protection. Jordan Neely is a black man, and that's why Jordan Neely is no longer with us. JB says all other races protected, even a dog, and we can't get anything. Why? Just that 12%. Saint Stereo, much love. Thank you for the roses. Lawrence Henry says they only apply that Jesus stuff to their white folks. They don't even see us as human. Absolutely. Lawrence Harvey also says black man getting 70 years for spitting at a state trooper. Absolutely. Henry Goodwin says the young black man that was taken out by a store worker, no charges were filed neither. Absolutely. Absolutely. Lawrence Harvey says, see how quickly they release the January 6th people. Yeah, absolutely. 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 Because again, black men are treated as less than human. Black men are treated like we don't matter. See, people don't understand that while we don't support the Black Lives Matter organization, we support the sentiment. You want to know why? You want to know why? Because black lives don't matter to many people, especially this white supremacist government, especially to Joe Biden. That's why Joe Biden doesn't want to pay reparations. That's why Joe Biden doesn't want to give us an anti-black hate crime bill. That's why Joe Biden doesn't care about black farmers, black veterans, black homeless people. That's why Joe Biden doesn't care. Joe Biden doesn't care. He's never cared. He's never cared. The way you show you care about black people, Joe Biden, is by giving us an anti-black hate crime bill. The way you show you care about us is by paying reparations and making sure the cash payouts that we get for reparations are substantial. People say, oh, money can't solve problems. Oh, absolutely it can if it's in the high enough number. If the check's big enough, if you add some zeros, 0 until the problems go away. Yeah, zeros make the problems go away. Bands will make your problems dance, baby. Situations like this is why we need reparations. Situations like this is why we need an anti-black hate crime bill to protect brothers like Jordan Neely. Situations like this is why we need to put pressure on Congress and the Senate, pressure on Joe Biden. We know the Republicans are racist, but the Republicans aren't receiving 80 to 90% of the black vote. Democrats are. So if you're the people who are supposed to fix the problems, if you're the people who are supposed to go out there and fix the issues, then do so.